Keith Thurman was offered a fight against Jaron, Boots, Ennis, and turned it down. Once again, Keith Thurman was offered a fight against Boots and turned it down. Showtime, Steven Espinosa stepped up and offered Keith Thurman the fight, and he ducked it. He ducked it after he called Boots out, and recently he called out Terrence Crawford. So it looks like he wants to jump the line and go straight into a title shot, and that raises a lot of questions because I almost feel like, he's getting up there in age. He has the one loss against Pacquiao. That was a few years ago. And then last year he fought Mario Barrios, who lost to Tank at a lower weight, if I'm correct, and he stopped him. And Keith Thurman couldn't get him out of there. And then after that, he calls out Terrence Crawford. He thinks that's he deserves that fight, but he's ducking the young lion, the boogeyman of the welterweight division, and Boots. And I understand why you would duck that fight, but I just don't understand why you would call out Terrence Crawford. And I honestly think that would be a good fight. I said that before on a recent podcast, that Keith Thurman and Crawford would be a good fight. And I only say that because the fight that Keith Thurman had when Keith Thurman was one time before he became sometime and now cherry time, the fight he had with Luis Colasso, he was in there, he's in the pocket, he was banging with him until he got cracked. And once he felt that power, he put on his tap dancing shoes and he was boxing, he was jabbing, he stayed on the outside the rest of the fight and outpointed him. And it was still a good performance, and it showed that he can do that, and he did that very well. That he can box on his feet. A lot of the young fighters that's out here right now, the Tanks, the Errol Spences, the Terrence Crawfords, we see them flat-footed. Like Adrian Broner, they stand right in front of you, and they use their athletic ability more. So we don't see a lot of people, doing a lot of footwork, a lot of, bouncing in and out. And Keith Thurman can do that very well. And I think that would cause Crawford a problem. That would make Crawford chase him around the ring. So, I think it would be a close fight if Crawford doesn't stop him, because he's going to have to try to outpoint Keith Thurman. So that I can understand. Now, why he ducked Boots, if he were to win against Boots, that puts you right up there, that puts you right up there for a belt. But there's other opportunities that he can take too, just like Boots is most likely going to take, because there is the fight against Stanionis. That would be ideal, as he holds the WBA, so secondary welterweight title. And that, either guy, I haven't heard Thurman speak about that fight, but he could go for that. That would be a title fight for him. But I think if him and Boots X'd each other out, who's left? But we all know that Boots is the boogeyman of the division, just like how Shakur's the boogeyman of his division. And these guys are being ducked, and it's hard for them to get some of the top fights right now just because of how dangerous they are. And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I really don't want to see another interview from Keith Thurman, because he's been doing that a lot lately. I expect him to be sitting next to Max Kellerman or something like that when his career is all said and done. And I don't think he's got too much longer, and that's why I think that's why he's calling out people like Terrence Crawford, because he just wants that fight. He wants an opportunity to win that belt, and I think he will ride off into the sunset with the belts if he were to get that opportunity and win. I don't see. Let's say Terrence Crawford gave him a chance, or let's say he hypothetically took the fight against Boots, won, gets a title shot after that, wins. Do you see Keith Thurman at that age, at a later age, at that time, sitting back and defending the belts? No, I don't think so. I think he wants that. That's why he's trying to jump the line, and so he can, if he gets that, that's the only opportunity that he wants. He's not really trying to, fight up to try to get there again, and he really lost a lot of status when he lost to Pacquiao. He's kind of just out the loop now. So he got beat by an old man, and it could be career ending for you if you take the Boots fight and Boots destroys you, and he probably would. He'd probably stop him. So I can totally understand that, and it's a good call. It's a kind of a cherry call because he called him out and then ducked the fight when it was offered to him. So we got to see what's next for Boots. There's still a couple of fights out there. Forgive me for if I butchered his name, but Imantis Stanionis, Yordanis Ugas, and Cody Crowler. They're all out there, and of course the Terrence Crawford, but he doesn't even speak of Boots. He hasn't brought him up once, and he's already, as I said before, he's activated the rematch against Errol Spence, and he's making him fight if Errol Spence accepts it, or I'm pretty sure he did, but it's going to be at 147. It doesn't look like it's going to be at 154. So yeah, we'll talk about that again on another cast. But for the most part, please let me know what you guys think. Appreciate you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and check out leoworldnews.com for your latest hip hop and sports blog. Thank you for listening. I'm out.